Good day. We're at 2 Kings chapter 10, verse 8. And there came a messenger and told him, saying, They have brought the heads of the king's sons. And he said, Lay ye them in 2 heaps at the entering in of the gate until the morning. Notes. Well, and all those who entered into the town or left the town would see them, and being struck by the ghastly spectacle, would make inquiry and learn the truth. There's going to be some questions asked as to why we got this pile of heads rotting out in the sun. Verse 9. And it came to pass in the morning that he went out and stood and said to all the people, You be righteous. Behold, I conspired against my master and killed him. But who killed all these? Notes. Politically, Jehu sees he needs to absolve himself of blame concerning the deaths of these individuals. In other words, he's going to play the politician. Not doing anything really bad, though. Verse 10. Know now that there shall fall unto the earth nothing of the word of the Lord which the Lord spoke concerning the house of Ahab, for the Lord has done that which he spoke by his servants Elijah. Notes. I think I kind of read that a little too fast, but Jehu basically, he declares that what has been done according to the word of the Lord, and so it was. 1 Kings 21:19. There we go, verse 11. So Jehu slew all that remained of the house of Ahab in Jezreel, and all his great men and his kinsfolks and his priests, until he left him none remaining. Notes. Ahab and his little cronies were just basically blotted out. Verse 12. And he arose and departed, and came to Samaria. And as he was at the shearing house in the way, Jehu met with the brethren of Ahijah, king of Judah, and said, Who are you? And they answered, We are the brethren of Ahijah. Notes. Who had been actually king of Judah, this Ahijah, or Ahaziah, if you prefer to say it that way. And we go down to salute the children of the king and the children of the queen. Notes. Hearing of the great unrest in Samaria, they had probably been sent by Athaliah to render any assistance that they could to the house of Ahab. Verse 14. And he said, Take them alive. And they took them alive and killed them at the pit of the shearing house, even 42 men, neither left he any of them. Notes. Now these were also descendants of King Ahab. And you must keep in mind that God ordered this destruction for a very good reason. Nothing good would have came from those people. Verse 15. And when he was departed thence, he lighted on Jehonadab, the son of Rechab, coming to meet him. And he saluted him and said to him, Is your heart right, as my heart is with your heart? And Jehonadab answered, It is. If it be, give me your hand. And he gave him his hand, and he took him up to him into the chariot. Notes. Jehonadab was the founder of the sect of the Rechabites, found in Jeremiah chapter 35, verses 6 through 19. Well, and he basically joins Jehu, verse 16. And he said, Come with me, and see my zeal for the Lord. So they made him who was Jehonadab ride in his who was Jehu's chariot. Notes. Man can be very zealous for God as Jehu, and yet not know him. But this zeal only goes as far as it suits personal interest or religious or political pursuits. The zeal of such persons only lasts so long as it suits their purposes, consequently. Verse 17. And when he came to Samaria, he killed all that remained unto Ahab in Samaria, till he had destroyed him, according to the saying of the Lord, which he spoke to Elijah. Once again, 1 Kings chapter 21, verses 17, all the way up to wherever, verse 22. Continuing, And Jehu gathered all the people together, and said unto them, Ahab served Baal a little, but Jehu shall serve him much. Notes. Well, probably as of yet, no suspicion had touched the public mind that Jehu would be a less zealous worshiper of Baal than his predecessors. But anyways, continuing. Now therefore, call unto me all the prophets of Baal, all his servants, and all his priests. Let none be wanting, for I have a great sacrifice to do to Baal. Whosoever shall be wanting, he shall not live. But Jehu did it in subtlety, to the intent that he might destroy the worshippers of Baal. Notes. Subtlety was characteristic of Jehu, who always preferred to gain his ends by cunning rather than doing it the straightforward way. In other words, what he was saying wasn't necessarily what he was meaning. Verse 20. And Jehu said, proclaim a solemn assembly for Baal. And they proclaimed it. Notes. Immediately we see no opposition was made to the king's wish. However, they had no idea as to what he was really about to do. Continuing. And Jehu sent through all Israel, and all the worshippers of Baal came, so that there was not a man left that came not. And they came into the house of Baal, and the house of Baal was full from one end to another. Notes. Ahab had erected a temple to Baal in Samaria shortly after his marriage to Jezebel, so this is where they would gather. You can find that in 1 Kings chapter 16, verse 22. And I believe I've discussed enough about that vile idol. Verse 22. And he said unto him who was over the vestry, bring forth vestments for all the worshippers of Baal. And he brought them forth vestments. Notes. The keeper of the wardrobe obeyed the orders given to him and supplied the vestments to all the worshippers, whatever those vestments may have actually have been. I think it may be talking about supplies. But anyways, verse 23. And Jehu went, and Jehonadab, the son of Rechab, into the house of Baal, and said unto the worshippers of Baal, search, and look that there be here with you none of the servants of the Lord, but the worshippers of Baal only. And when they went in to offer sacrifices and burnt offerings, Jehu appointed 80 men without, and said, if any of the men whom I have brought into your hands escape, he who lets him go, his life shall be for the life of him. And it came to pass, as soon as he had made an end of offering the burnt offering, that Jehu said to the guard and to the captains, go in and kill them, and let none come forth. And they smote them with the edge of the sword, and the guard and the captain cast them out, and went to the city of the house of Baal. Verse 26. And they brought forth the images out of the house of Baal, and burned them. Well, obviously they were evidently made of wood. Verse 27. And they broke down the image of Baal, and broke down the house of Baal, and made it a draught house unto this day. Notes. I think Jehu may be actually using his sense of humor. They basically made this into a garbage dump. Continuing. And Jehu destroyed Baal out of Israel. Notes. Now the measures that were taken were effective. The worship of Baal was put down, and is not said to have been revived in the kingdom of the 10 tribes. Regrettably, Molech worship would evidently take its place rather quickly. Verse 29, howbeit from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin, Jehu departed not from them, to wit, the golden calves that were in Bethel, and that were in Dan. Notes. It seems that Jehu was not prepared to eradicate all idol worship in Israel. His zeal for Jehovah did not reach very far, and thus his reformation of religion was but a half-reformation, a partial turning to God which brought no permanent blessing upon the nation. We must pick up in chapter 10, verse 30 of the book of 2 Kings. Thank you, and God bless.